Hi, it's Dave here at The Imperfect Individual. Hope you've had a good weekend. Hope you're okay. This is part 3 of a mini-series called Years of Insanity, and this one might be slightly controversial. If it is, great. Some of you might disagree with what I say. Some of you may completely agree with what I say. I think I'm going to call it something like, I don't know, it's to do with distraction anyway. Let's just start from this point. Just think about any time in history. Now, I know some of you may say all history is invented, all history has been spun according to a narrative and an agenda that those in control want us to believe in, you know, and there may be some truth to that, or there may not be some truth to that. So, but let's just go back to any point. Obviously there has been such a thing called history where people's populations have had to live through turbulent times, through good times, through challenges. And just imagine, say, pick a particular war somewhere in the world, pick a time when revolution was taking place, pick a time where there was a lot of upheaval and rapid change. And imagine during that time that the people in that country, in that era, had access to something called the internet, had access to unlimited information. Do you think that the truthers, in inverted commas, living within those communities, in those countries, would be doing what's being done by millions of people in the world now, with all the sharing of links, the challenging of absolutely everything, the labelling of people as controlled opposition, as shills, the relentless sharing of links? Well, the answer is yes, they would. And what effect would that be having on them and on that society? Would they necessarily be living organically? Would they be dealing with the problems or perceived problems in their best way, or would their attention be diverted to other areas of which they've got no control, which they don't even know is real or not? Now, I hope this makes sense to what I'm saying, and I hope what I'm saying makes sense, and I did say that this video may be controversial and that some of you might not like what I'm saying, and if so, that's fine. You know, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Because I see what I see still is too many of us giving too much of our power, our energy, our lives away to entities, to things that we cannot control. And in doing that, we're taking away some of the essence of who we are. And in a way, we are not taking responsibility for solving these problems that we quite clearly have. I've talked a lot about the relentless conversations and repeated conversations around what's true and what's not. The obsession with debunking everything as false, the labeling of people as trusted and the labeling of people as not to be trusted. My take on it, the labeling of people as conspiracy theories and the labeling of others as saviours. You know, so you can talk about, I did a video about Russell Brand recently. You've got other people who say that Trump is the saviour, QAnon has got the plan, all this kind of like either believing that there's somebody coming to save the day and there's this plan operating in the background that's going to come to fruition and we just sit back and enjoy the show. There's all that going on. There's people like Russell Brand who I don't know whether he's controlled opposition or not. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't, but he's bringing information that's objectively true because it's being reported and he's just commenting on it, who's being labelled as, you know, as controlled as controlled opposition. You've got other people who are just sharing link after link after link after link after link all the time with information that's very hard to verify, which is why personally, you know, my opinion right from the start of all this, since I woke up in inverted commas, you know, I've said to create, don't regurgitate. Or if you're going to regurgitate, and when I mean say regurgitate, I'm talking about sharing other people's things. Okay, but make sure you create a piece of content for every one piece of content that you share. And I think that's fair enough, because I think what this world needs at the moment is new ideas, new energy, new concepts, new solutions to the problems. And that's not done by relying on others or by just blindly sharing information. And I'm talking about distraction in this video. There are some quite clear and obvious lies, and there are many of them that populations across the world have been exposed to. It's our job to stay laser focused on those lies, right, and to put our energy into making sure those lies are brought to the surface for people to see. And we do it the only way we do it. This is not going to be, this war, and it is a war that we're in, is not going to be won from the top down. It's not. Anyone who doesn't realise that by now, I think, is highly naive. It's going to be won from the bottom up. And how is that? It is via society reshaping itself. And how does a society reshape itself? How does a society reinvent itself? And this society really does need to reinvent itself. It's by the individuals within that society really embracing concepts of individualism, of self-autonomy, of values, and that means cultivating individual values and living through them, and most importantly of all, courage, and offering ideas in the real world and proposing solutions in the real world, i.e. what I can see now is my real world. You know, the canal on my left hand side here, the trees and bushes on my right hand side, that is my truth at the moment. And I'm very, very passionate about this, because I truly believe that not enough people realise this. Now tell me if I'm wrong. I may be wrong. It's just the way I see the world. But consider the notion that historians, and I know like I say, everyone's got their own view on history as we understand it at the moment, and whether the version that we've been told is the truth or not. And in my opinion, how are we ever going to possibly know? You could send yourself crazy, but obviously history is such a thing. And this period of time that we are living in, if, you know, the New World Order, which is real, and I'm not going to deny that at all, if it doesn't come to fruition and a totalitarian biosurveillance state does not get its tentacles right into society, i.e. if we win, and we win by reinventing our society from the bottom up, if all those things happen, consider the notion that historians, right, may look upon most people in the society as being basket cases and brainwashed, including those in the truther community. They may say the problem was massive, but those who understood the problem were brainwashed into being distracted, so not solving. Distracted by what? Well, by information. I talk about it all the time. Information, media, you know, whether it's not really mainstream media. Well, yeah, people are still becoming attached to mainstream narratives, and it's sending them insane rather than just stepping back. Or alternative media. You know, the people were beholden to media and information, distracted them to such an extent that it played right into the hands of the dark forces. Consider that notion. I'm just going to change tact a little bit here, because I talk about I talk about subjective reality is truth. You know, this is my world now. I can hear the stones crunching, the gravel under my walking boots there. I can hear some ducks quacking there. I can hear some birds singing. The sun's in the sky. That's real for me. That won't be real for you, because you're going to be watching this. You're going to be watching this on your phone or your computer, so it won't be real in the same way that it's real for me. But what now is real for you? What's real is what you can see and hear right now, wherever you are watching this, and this will be part of it. We need to really just reattach to what's real and what's just an illusion. Like I say, I'm gonna change tack and talk about my dad. I've just been to see, and it'll link into what I'm saying. I've just been to see a tree that my mum's very kind neighbour had planted for him in the local park, which was an absolutely lovely gesture, a cherry blossom tree. So I've been thinking obviously about my dad, and I'll tell you a little story. So right at the start of the first lockdown, I think it might have been the 25th of March 2020, I've still got the text from my dad. He sent me a text saying, "Hi Dave, fancy a walk?" And I replied back. This is how brainwashed I was at the start, right at the start, only at the start. I replied back to him saying, "I can't, Dad, because we're not allowed." Bloody hell. You see the journey that I've gone on? I wasn't living my own truth there, was I? I was living according to a story that had been spun by somebody else for me. I was beholden to somebody else. I was beholden to information that had been imparted, obviously by the government and media, that I clung on to and controlled me. Was my dad? No, he wasn't, no. Not at all. He understood that his reality, our reality, all we really have is all we have. He wanted to see me to go for a walk. Yeah, he had the 3 jabs, he was old school. Yeah, he believed what he was told, yeah. But I tell you what, he didn't follow hardly any of those bullshit rules. And crucially, here's the important thing. Unlike many millions in this country, he understood the family. There's no price too high to pay for seeing family, no matter what the circumstances are. Obviously, I'd forgotten that temporarily. He hadn't though, hence why he wanted to go for the walk with me. And I just think that story demonstrates, really, it does for me, how, well, you know, I used to talk to my dad about try and wake him up to the bigger picture, which he didn't want to be woken up to, which is fine. You know, about UN Agenda 2030, you know, the World Economic Forum and the malign influence that has and control that has, and all the rest of it, which you know. And yeah, he didn't want to know about that, and that's fine, but it didn't matter, because what I've learned since his passing is that he wasn't distracted by things that could take away from his quality of life and the quality of life of his own family by becoming so embroiled in these scary narratives. He just carried on living his life, going where he wanted to go, seeing his friends and family, going the pub, going for walks, not scared at all, not scared, and not controlled in terms of where he wanted to go and what he wanted to do, and not beholden to information. You know, instead you do what I'm doing now. Go for a pint, go for a walk, go for a nice breakfast somewhere, whatever. See the grandkids. You think how many grandparents in the last couple of years, probably still some now, have not seen their grandkids? That's because they've been beholden to information that's controlling them. and to bring back now to the truther community, whatever you want to call it, a big flaw. I've talked about it so many times. There is still way too much sharing of other people's truth. And other people's truth might be based on a lie. Don't forget that. Not everything that we say, not every opinion that we have is going to be factually correct, is going to be actually real. Some of it's going to be false. But we create a society, we stimulate ideas and concepts and philosophies by primarily stepping away from our information sources, getting out into the real world, interacting in the real world. That's actually solving a problem. By remembering that Mother Nature and the outside world has the potential to stimulate unlimited expansion of consciousness, to introduce us to a never-ending well of new ideas. I just think that very simple concept is not really understood by enough people, hence why we still are where we are, which is ultimately still at the behest of the globalists. You know, the Great Reset is happening at pace, and there's too much of a kind of like rabbit in the headlights phenomena going on, because that very simple concept of our lives are our own. Even if the absolute worst happens, it doesn't mean that you're psychologically or emotionally at the behest of anybody. It doesn't mean that at all. But we still have a chance, if we choose, to be brave. I mean, properly be brave. Be brave, like tell the world what we think. Rebel where we can rebel. But just remember, we're living in a beautiful world. Nature's trying to teach us if we just allow it. Our God isn't information. Our guiding force isn't information. I'll say again, because whenever I do a video like this, I always say there's a slight irony and hypocrisy in that I'm imparting information now. I don't really see it as information. I see it as opinion and my truth. All I'm doing is trying to express my truth to you, and to encourage you to do the same. Maybe make it a rule for, if everybody produce one piece of content for every piece of content that we shared, I think we'd be within a week, all this would be over. It would. Anyway, I'm going to stop now. Don't forget to subscribe. Like I say, let me know what you think of this video. If I've upset some of you, I'm sure you'll be all right. Thanks as ever for all your support, and look out for part 4. Part 4, which I'll try and do in the next couple of days, is going to be all about controlling and managing anger, and that's another important element to this interesting and challenging journey that we're all on. All right then, speak to you soon. Bye bye.